Hi everyone, my name is Osler Ortez. I am the corn specialist at Ohio State, and today we are here for a new episode of Battle for the Belt. Stock lodging can be the result of a few things interacting. One of them, dry conditions during the reproductive stages in the crop can lead to the plant deciding to start immobilizing or cannibalizing resources from stems and leaves and moving that into the grain. What that makes is we can end up with weaker stalks and certainly depleted leaves as a way to save or increase the produce that we have in those years. We can be concerned about stock lodging for two reasons: the dry period as well as the development of stalk rots in our bases or any of the nodes and stem in the plant. The actual disease stalk rot is driven by one or more several fungi that are capable of colonizing and disintegrating the inner parts or the center parts of your stalk in the plant. The extent to which the fungi affects the plant is really plant health dependent. If you have a plant with a higher health, you can expect less damage of the fungi. If you have a plant with overall lower health, you can expect more damage out of the fungi. Let's go ahead and revisit the methods that we have available in order to understand if we should be concerned about stock lodging in our fields. Here we are for the first method, and it's called the split stalk. A split stalk, we get plants and we cut them at the base level in the soil, and then we use a pocket knife. We split that stalk. I did that earlier today. And in a normal plant, we should see very nice and clean stalks in the plant. In this case, the spaces inside the stalk are fully occupied. We have a consistent color. On the other hand, if we have a disease stalk, like this one here, the disease can be visible, especially in this plant, on the three lower nodes. We have full space occupation in the top, consistent whitish color, but when we come down here, we see gaps that are not being filled, that are being disintegrated. There is also clearly decoloration, and that's an indication that we should be concerned about the standability of a field if we are finding this kind of symptomology. That's the first method. For the second method, we have the push test. For the push test, the recommendation is grabbing plants at the ear level and pushing them against the opposite direction. If those plants are bending in your favor without any cracking or falling off, that will suggest that you have good stalk integrity as of now. In this case, I pushed approximately 5 or 7 plants, and none of them was disintegrated or fell apart. Finally, we have the third method for evaluating stalk lodging or stalk integrity in the field, and that's what we call the squeezing test. For the squeezing test, we want to come to lower parts of the stalk, and we use our fingers to touch and press the different sections of the stalk. And if you feel that it's a really solid structure, that will suggest you have good stalk integrity and you shouldn't be too concerned about this crop lodging. On the other hand, if you find a plant or a stalk where you can push and that will yield to your favor, certainly that's something that you need to be concerned. Those are the plants or stock that will lodge first. So for demonstration purposes on the last method, the squeezing method, here we have a plant that we thought will have an affected stalk. And if we come to the base of the plant and we try to squeeze this stalk here, you can certainly make it touch the walls. Again, this is due to the inner disintegration that is happening of the tissues inside the stalk. There are empty spaces, there are hollow spaces that are not being filled, have been disintegrated, and you have this kind of effect. We are here almost at the ground level. If we did the push test on this guy here, that will likely go ahead and break, and that's the kind of crop that you want to prioritize as harvesting season comes our way. If we had confirmed that stock integrity might be compromised in one of our fields, unfortunately, not much can be done at this point to solve the issue. However, we can plan proactively in making some decisions that will minimize the progression of the concern. And what we mean by that is, if you know that you have issues going on in a field, you want to prioritize those fields, earlier harvest, perhaps even going with a little bit of a higher moisture so that you are not allowing chances for that crop to lodge and create more substantial issues when it comes to harvest logistics, ears dropping or grain falling into the ground. Besides prioritizing harvest for fields that might be affected with stock integrity, we also know that's the bad news. Here are the good news. We know from historical research projects here in the state of Ohio, the Ohio Corn Performance Test. This is a project where we test well over 100 commercially available hybrids around 9, 10, 11 different locations in the state of Ohio in the last 52 years. The project started in 72, is still counting today. If we do a quick analysis on how stock lodging dynamics have changed from the past to today, we see that in the 1970s, we had an overall of 10% of stock lodging in our fields. 2021, 50 years later, that stock lodging percent dropped from 10% overall to only 2.5%. That means there have been substantial improvements. A lot of that can be attributed to breeding programs, better hybrids, better technology, better traits, as well as new crop protection products that help us maintain a healthy crop, a healthy stock, and that way crops standing better to the end of the season. The other factor that we need to consider that could be increasing the concern is wind, Mother Nature. If we have a storm come through, we have a field or a hybrid that is susceptible to stalk rots, we might be getting an additional heat from a wind storm perspective. So we want to watch that as well. We want to think about hybrid. This is very hybrid specific issue. Yesterday I walked a field with more than 100 hybrids in Northwest Ohio. A few of the plots had a clearly increased number of large plants in those plots. Those have not been harvested yet. We are gearing towards harvest, but we had at least 5 or so hybrids that were having multiple plants lodged in the canopy as you walk through those plots. On the other hand, we had hybrids that had no lodging at all. So we want to keep that in mind. If you think that stock lodging is an issue, consider that for future hybrid selection. Consider looking into hybrid ratings that can help you come up with better genetics, better hybrids that will give you less of a concern when it comes to that regard. Thank you, and we will see you on next episodes of Battle for the Belt.